In a new survey about surveys, we find that there is a secret Trump voter. See, earlier I talked about Nate Silver from 538 saying if Joe Biden has 51% support and he's not and the supporters don't put out signs for him, that suggests Biden has the real silent majority. And my response was very simple. You can't vocally express your support in polls and consider yourself to be silent. The silent majority of the people who are scared to tell pollsters. You know why? Because we know journalists lie. We know they pump out fake news. And you think any one of these people who supports Trump, they get a phone call and a journalist, he's like, hi, I'm a reporter or I'm a pollster for this company for CBS News, Hill Harris X or whatever. And we want to know who you're going to vote for. So who are you voting for? They're going to be like, Biden, click. Because they don't want someone showing up to their house. Here's a story from Bloomberg. They say, a new online study finds that Republicans and independents are twice as likely as Democrats to say they would not give their true opinion in a telephone poll question about their preference for president in 2020. That raises the possibility that polls understate support for President Donald Trump. Some 11.7% of Republicans and 10.5% of independents said they would not give their true opinion versus 5.4% of Democrats, according to the study by Cloud Research, a New York-based company that conducts online market research data collection for clients. Among the reasons they gave was, it's dangerous to express an opinion outside of the current liberal viewpoint, according to Lieb Littman, the co-chief executive officer and chief research officer. Cloud Research conducted the survey online, but inquired about surveys that are conducted by phone. It first asked participants for their political preference. Then it asked how they felt about divulging their preference for president in the phone poll. Later, it asked whom they actually did support for president. Political party preference was the only characteristic that correlated consistently with reluctance to share presidential preference, Lieb says. There was no correlation with age, race, education, or income. Yeah, see, doesn't matter, does it? Race doesn't matter. Cloud Research conducted the study two ways and got basically the same result both times. In one, 1,000 respondents were evenly divided among Democrats, Republicans, and independents. And the second asked a different set of 1,000 respondents picked to precisely match the demographics of likely voters, regardless of party. The question of whether shy Trump voters were undercounted in polls before the 2016 election was part of an exhaustive postmortem published by the American Association for Public Opinion Research. Some Trump voters who participated in pre-election polls did not reveal themselves as Trump voters until after the election, and they outnumbered late revealing Clinton voters, the AAPOR study said, adding, this finding could be attributable to either late deciding, or misreporting the so-called shy Trump effect. Typically, the AAPOR study found those who admit changing their minds more or less wash out, breaking about even between the Republican candidate and the Democratic candidate. Not in 2016, though. People who changed their answer when called back after the election had voted for Trump by a 16 percentage point margin. The AAPOR study said evidence for a shy Trump effect isn't conclusive. The authors hypothesized that if voters didn't want to tell a live interviewer they supported Trump, you'd expect Trump to do worse in live interview polls than in ones involving interactive voice response, which is less personal. In fact, Trump didn't do worse in live interview polls. Cloud Research lead says the AAPOR study doesn't change his mind. He says his company asked participants how they felt about divulging their preferences via automatic calls versus live ones, and found the AAPOR's assumption about which one Trump voters would prefer was false. Many people are just as distrustful of automatic calls because their response will be recorded. Ladies and gentlemen, it's true. Just admit it. The shy Trump voter is real. But let me show you something. I talked about this in a segment yesterday. Bridgette Fedeli putting out a post about not voting or voting and what's going to happen to this country, saying basically in an article she wrote, if Trump wins, this country will burn. If Trump loses, this country will burn. Either way, prepare for the country to burn. And I think she's right for the most part. However, I'm going to be voting for Donald Trump because I think the rise of intersectionality and leftist identitarianism is an existential threat to my family, to my friends, and to what it means to be American. However, Bridgette also posted this, and I find it very, very interesting. She said, I'll share this email again for those of you who want to vent or rant or tell me I'm a garbage grifter who sucks at writing. Please at least be original in your insults. I've heard them all. She said, so the original tweet from last year said, I've received an enormous response to this piece and I want to hear from you, especially if this resonated. Please tell me your story about how you ended up politically homeless or conversely, why you think I'm dumb. You can email me. She said, IamPoliticallyHomeless@gmail.com. She got responses. In response to the emails, she said, if my audience represents a slice of the politically homeless, and these emails are any indication of how this demographic feels at the moment, Biden is in trouble. And before you start screaming about how my audience leans right, many are former Dems or people who don't vote. I, for the most part, is a person who didn't vote. I voted for Obama once, not in 2012, not in 2016. And here I am saying I am voting for Trump in 2020. The reason for it is you could consider me, I guess, technically a former Democrat because I did vote for Obama and that was about it. But I think, like I mentioned, leftist identitarianism threatens my family and it's scary. And I don't want it to grow in this country. And we need someone to push back against it. The riots need to stop. And the Democrats have proved to be completely incapable of leading this country. Donald Trump, they call him a fascist. If he was half the fascist that they claim he was, he would have already put a stop to the riots. So it just shows he's not a fascist. I trust I can support him without worrying about some autocratic takeover while they're screeching. But I know that Donald Trump will bring in the feds if he absolutely has to. And it's better than Joe Biden. I'll take what I can get. Now, as for these other people, I don't know. Maybe we'll hear more from Bridgette, but you can follow her on Twitter. She's a great follow, Bridgette, at Bridgette Fedeli. Well, Michael Moore is warning. Enthusiasm for Trump is off the charts. Yeah, I think so. Would I consider myself to be enthusiastic? That's a tough question. I will tell you this. At this point, I'd probably be one of those people to walk over broken glass barefoot to vote for Trump. And I wouldn't have said that earlier this year. Earlier this year, I was like, nah, I'm not voting for him. I was supporting Tulsi and Andrew Yang. Yang, I think, joined the establishment the moment he got the chance. Tulsi, I think, tried her best to be a unifying force. Didn't really work. There are some alternatives, the Unity Party, the Unity Movement or whatever. But I think ultimately we got to stop what's happening on the far left. It has gone too far. And we are hearing warnings from people from Cuba and from Venezuela, from other socialist countries. And I take their warnings seriously. And I am concerned about the overt racism of the far left. So you know what? It's the first time in my life I've ever felt like I would need to walk barefoot over broken glass to vote for somebody. Michael Moore is warning of it. The Hill says, Michael Moore warned Democrats that President Trump appears to have momentum behind his re-election campaign in key battleground states, with the progressive activist saying enthusiasm for Trump is off the charts compared with Democratic nominee Joe Biden. Moore pointed to polling in battleground states such as Minnesota and Michigan in making the case that Trump was running alongside or ahead of Biden in key areas, setting himself up for another potential upset in November. Here's a quote. Are you ready for a Trump victory? Are you mentally prepared to be outsmarted by Trump again? Do you find comfort in your certainty that there is no way Trump can win? Are you content with the trust you've placed in the DNC to pull this off? I am warning you almost 10 weeks in advance. The enthusiasm level for the 60 million in Trump's base is off the charts. For Joe, not so much. Don't leave it to the Democrats to get rid of Trump. You have to get rid of Trump. We have to wake up every day for the next 67 days and make sure each of us are going to get 100 people out to vote. Act now. And this will be a warning to Trump voters as well. Michael Moore is rallying the troops. Don't you forget it. If you plan on voting for Trump or at least anyone in opposition of Joe Biden, then you better wake up every single day and get 100 people to vote because they're going to be doing the same. There was something I remember, I think it was called like MAGA 3X. I think Mike Cernovich did this where he said, if every person just convinced 3 people to vote for Donald Trump, Trump would win. Trump ended up winning. I'm willing to bet that Mike Cernovich played a role in that because Trump won in some districts, like some states, I think, by only a few thousand votes. Michael Moore knows what's about to come. And if you get complacent and you think victory is assured, they will snatch it from right in front of you. So you better make sure you wake up and you do what you can. Now, some people have asked, like, what can you do? And I honestly don't know. I'm not usually the one to tell you what you can do other than speaking up and speaking out. Talk to friends and family members and always remember to be respectable and calm and nice. You get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar, as the saying goes. Now, these extremists operate under the premise that you actually get more flies with human waste. I'll put it that way. Than you do. That's how the saying goes. Some people say you get more flies with honey than vinegar, and then someone responds, actually, you get more flies with feces. Not going to swear. I don't buy it. Now, I understand the literal idea of flies, and human waste. But that's the people who are going around smashing buildings and attacking people. Nah, that's going to drive people away. So let's not call it flies. Let's say you'll attract more friends. Actually, we'll cite the Simpsons. You don't win friends with salad. Remember that episode? Because Homer wanted to have the roast pig, and then Lisa was like, "How about a salad?" And Homer said, "You don't win friends with salad." Actually, I really do like salad, so sorry to rag on all the vegans and vegetarians. And the point I'm making is, you want to invite people over, offer them pizza and beers, and actually do this. Offer many different options. You got the vegan pizza, you got regular pizza, you got beers, you got the gluten-free stuff. Then everybody can come and hang out. And that's what the Republicans have been good at so far. Not so much the party, but the people. The people who supported Trump have done a great job of recruiting everybody. They're having a party, and everyone's invited. And we got the vegan options. We got the gluten-free options. We got the meat options. We got a big old stack of steak. We got something for everybody. That's what they've been telling me. And I've been saying, hanging out at this party is way more fun than that party. That party's mean. So anyway, secret Trump voters. Once again, another poll showing they're real. Are you going to make sure you stand up and get as many people to vote as possible? You're going to need to. This is going to be a tough election. Assuming everything goes smoothly and is legitimate. I'll leave it there. Not smoothly. I got one more segment coming up in a few minutes. Stick around and I will see you all shortly.